So what are we going to do? We're going to build an Antarctica-style research center on the moon. And we're going to have robotics, we're going to have 3D printing, of course AI is going to help us along the way. And we're going to build infrastructure for a larger future team. Now, this stuff is straight out of science fiction, except science fiction would not have been able to predict 3D printing as we have it now. And I don't think that the computers on the Enterprise were anywhere near as smart as the artificial intelligence programs we are developing now. So we have stuff that was not actually envisioned by science fiction. We have surpassed much of the classic science fiction. So I'm very excited about this. Pre-positioning logistics packages to build an Antarctica-style research center. You know, I actually looked it up, like, okay, what does it mean? What does it mean to have a small Antarctic-style station? Well, there's 4,000 people that spend the summer at Antarctica. 4,000 people. The International Space Station on a good day has seven or 8 or 9 people in kind of one of its best configurations. I think they've had 11 as their maximum. I'd have to look that up. But there's a limit, right? There's often 3, 4, or 5 people up there. So we've had 20 years of, let's simplify it and say 6 people at the space station. And now we're talking about potentially 4,000 people year-round on the moon. So that fills me with joy. Now, caveat, most people don't overwinter at the Antarctic. Only about 1,000 people stay there year-round. So 4,000 in the peak season, summer, and then 1,000 in the winter. But still, I'll take 1,000. I'll take 1,000 people permanently stationed on the moon. That would change civilization as we know it. So I'm okay with that. So we already know, we've talked a lot about commercial development. So what are the commercial folks going to do? They're going to work on power, water, hydrogen, utilities, communications, that sort of stuff. This document, this executive order from the president from a couple months ago goes into more detail on that. So that's a document that's worth looking at for a little bit more detail. There's not much detail in that document, so don't have high expectations. Transition to the private sector, we've talked about that a lot. You know, industrialization, that word just keeps coming up over and over again also. Now, was it 18 months ago? About 2 years ago, the president and the vice president made a claim that we were going to go to the moon by 2024. Most professionals in the industry thought that was pretty unrealistic. It still, just 2 years from now, looks, just 4 years from now, looks really, really challenging. I'm going to bet pretty heavily on the commercial partners. When this was announced, there were no commercial partners, and it was going to be exclusively the effort of NASA. No one in the industry had any confidence that NASA was going to be able to pull that off. Even some of the people at NASA weren't sure they could pull that off. With the advent and the invitation of commercial partners, that seems possible, but I still think it's very unlikely. Instead of a 0% chance, I might give it a 15 or 20% chance right now. But it's not 0, so that's progress, I guess. I think this line about the next 2 or 3 years, substantial increase in capabilities, that's absolutely accurate. There are too many players in this field to not have substantial progress. And when we start talking about cargo back and forth on a routine basis, again, that's very strong language. We have not ever had, we never really talked in the terms of cargo. We always talk about fragile payloads, and everything that we ship to space is easily breakable. This idea of just cargo is industrial, right? I have a port, the port of Tacoma behind me here, and it moves tons and tons and tons and tons of cargo every day. That's cargo, right? So changing the language from payload to cargo is a substantial change in mindset, right? And language in this case really matters. So really, really excited to see that, the symbols of that language. We talk about pioneering efforts. We've known that that's kind of where we are for a long time. Proving ground, we've talked about that. Resupply from the Earth, all good things, right? So this paragraph is kind of a restatement of other things, but by restating it, it emphasizes local resources over and over and over again. Robotics, preposition, resupply. As they keep hammering those points home, that becomes a higher and higher priority for the administration, so that the people that read this document, that act on this document, whether they're at NASA, NOAA, Department of Defense, FAA, FCC, they all get the same consistent message. That the National Science Foundation, when they are issuing grants for research, they all get the same message, that robotics, pre-positioning, all of those things need to be a part of the eventual budgets of the United States. So this language being repeated, it's to emphasize and tell downstream policymakers that it's okay to put money into in situ resource utilization, right? This gives them kind of political cover for these decisions. So who's going, when and why? We talked about this quite a bit on our last video, but I really want to emphasize that a lot of nations are going to the moon, and America has 21 confirmed missions heading that direction. So it's going to be interesting how this policy stuff unfolds, and I think a document like this new era document, it makes a big difference. So I'd love to have any of your comments. We're going to put a bunch of links down below. There's going to be links to this document. There's going to be links to our other videos, but there's also going to be a couple other links relating to the executive orders that were mentioned, and some of the other programs that are out there. So please read the description and follow whatever you're interested in. Okay, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.